My bad.
Other Headkicks and Haymakers. I am your boy Bodkins, and as with me as always my guy Wit. Wit, what is up, my man? Hope you and the family had a great Christmas.
Hey man, I'm blessed and happy to be here. First off, I just want to say this, bro. I got your Christmas card, and that was some fly stuff, man. Shout out to the Bodkins family. I got a
Hey,
real actual. I would show it to the people. Can I show it to the people?
I do. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Wait, bro sent me a real Christmas card with real family pictures on it, not some corny shit, bro. I mean, I really appreciate that, man. So shout out to my brother Bakis, man. Thanks
Hey,
for the love, man. And we do an award show, so I got on the glasses. I'm ready to talk that talk, bro.
oh, I didn't know. I thought about it. I should have brought out the suit and tie, but luckily for me, I got the sunglasses too. Now we will be flying blind because I can't see without my glasses on. So, but it is what it is. It is award season. I just said I hope you had a great Christmas, man. We had a great year in MMA, whether it's UFC, PFL, Bellator. There was some great fights. We can go ahead and we'll start with our fight of the year. Man, there was some actual, just absolute killer wars out there.
Man, listen, dog. When I think about fight of the year, I'm thinking about fights that kind of took it to another level. Some of the fights that I thought we're thinking about in the beginning they weren't even the first fight. They might have been the second fight. But I came to a really good conclusion. Somehow, some way, I feel like we're going to meet in the middle on a lot of these too. And I guess I'll give mine first. So this one was one I had to think about, and because you and I, we watched pretty much at least the second half of the year together. Through text messages. We were watching, so we watched some really good fights. But this one right here stands out because one, it was a sequel. Okay, it was a sequel. Two, it went just about everywhere. It was on the mat. They were on the ground. It were fist fights. There was vicious grappling, all of that. And in the end, there was a belt exchanged in this one too. So I think that one stood out for me. So for me, my fight of the year has to go to the co-main of UFC 290, and I'm talking about Alejandro Pantoja and Brandon Moreno 2. 25 minutes of war, 25 minutes. And it was, I'm talking up top, down bottom, little bit of grappling, a lot of stand-up, a good amount of reversals on each. And the scorecard was really close. I'm talking 161, 167. And the crazy thing is, it's the co-main, right? And it got me hyped for the main, which is something we'll go into later. I really think that was one of, because of course when we looked into the history, Pantoja, they had the fight before, they had the toughen up fight, like all of that stuff played into it, and then finally this is for like all the chips, you know what I mean? This was for the belt. So for me, of course, it was a great fight. I really felt like it set me up for the main event in this matter as well. And it's kind of one of those ones that I definitely won't forget for this year. So for me, my fight of the year is definitely going to my guy Moreno and my guy Pantoja, who we just watched last week as well in 296. And man, I'm telling you, it was one to remember, man. So what you got in mind for fighting?
That was I'm glad you said that one. That was a fun way, and we just talked about those flyweights, man. They've always put on. Moreno's never been in a boring fight, I don't think, a day in his life. Right. And that fight was great, man. I thought about a lot. I thought about Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. That was early on in the year. I think that was like the second pay-per-view, third pay-per-view. Might have been I think that was like February. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to international. When I think fight of the night, it's just like our fight of the year. And I know there's this fight I'm about to pick. Didn't have a title to it. But man, when I just think of a fight, it's just like, how are both of these guys standing? How did they
Mm,
take so much?
mm,
And to me, that answer is you go back to International Fight Week, UFC 290, when we get Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner.
mm.
I mean, both of those guys, they left that octagon different men, especially Dan Hooker. I mean, broke his arm, his face, all types of things, and he won the fight. I had Jalen Turner on the ropes several different times. Neither guy got put out. Neither guy got put down. As far as like, you know, it had to go to the decision out. It was only 15 minutes compared to your 25 minutes of war. But man, that was a fun 15 minutes. That's the fight that I think sticks out to me a lot of this past year, as far as kind of that fight of the night, where it's like, holy shit, how are these two guys still fucking standing?
Hey man, and you're bringing the memories back, of course, because that for me was another one of those views, like literally, like, can we just call this a draw? You know,
Well,
can we get it again?
Jalen Turner hits Dan Hooker with that leg kick, and I don't know how he's still standing to this
Right,
day. You know,
right, and it was, I mean, it was a thunderous leg kick. Every, when you hear the crowd react to a head kick like that, it was one of those things where, look, if he makes it through this is one of those ones he makes it through anything. So I like your pick for that one for fight of the year, most definitely. And it was some other really good ones. It was that weren't main or co-main level. We definitely witnessed one the past weekend with I'm trying to think of the ladies, but the ladies held it down in that fight, all 5 rounds.
yes, yeah. That was a 3-round fight too.
Yeah, and I'm going to double check on that, but I love that one. And then of course
I got you. It was
that post fight where everybody
Irene Aldana and Carlo Rosa.
Carlo Rosa and Aldana. Yeah, that was, and look, and we're gonna get more into the ladies in 2024, but that was one of those where I was like, man, slobber knocker, definitely official, and you can't take away from either of those ladies. So that'd be like my runner-up for fight of the year, or for female fight of the year. That's definitely number one for me right about now.
Yeah, so you could go, you could look at Islam versus Alex back in February. That was real close fight. That was a fun fight. As far as just 25 minutes, just good wrestling, good fighting. It wasn't your total war that we're talking about, but honorable mention to them. Also, early on in the year too, you almost forget, is a Jamal Hill and Grover Teixeira fight back in. That was back in January. As we know, Jamal Hill won the title.
Right, and man, you gotta. Sometimes especially when we get closer and closer to the end of the year, we get a little further away from what was going on. Jamal Hill, of course, might not have been the prettiest name to have thrown in there, but I mean, man, when he gets in the ring, he's one of those guys you can't forget about, you can't underestimate, and he did put on a show for that one. That's a great candidate as well, bro.
Yeah, so those are our two. I like yours though. I really do. I think that was good fight of the night. Like I said, Islam versus Falk. It's hard to remember way back in the year. I had to do a little bit of research just to think about some of these fights that happened. Right. Let's get into our, before we get our fighter of the year, let's get into our knockout of the year. Who you got as your big knockout of the year?
Man, listen. All right, so I have a number one for this one, but I got just two. I'm not gonna get it deep into them, but I got two just to throw out. And these were somewhat meaningful fights, especially when you're considering that belts did exchange in the first two. The one that I picked for number one, no belts were involved, but we'll get into that. Let's just throw it out there. So for me, big, huge Israel Adesanya fan, bro. I gotta talk about that Alex Pereira knockout because let's just keep it real. Izzy was losing that fight. Izzy was losing that fight, bro. He was not looking good at all. Everybody was going, oh, he's not motivated anymore. He's finally got somebody who can have the best of him. Pierre got him the first time. He's going to, finally look human because, of course, with him getting the accolade as a style bender, it looked like to every opponent he had a counter. And looked like his one competition, especially since, their K1 days, was Alex Pierre. But, of course, Izzy caught him with the overhand behind the ear, bing, and then, of course, goes in for the malice intent and gets one. So that's number 2 for me. That's number 2.
Okay.
Then I got the number 1 spot, which is not the winner, right? And I like this one because this one was kind of sentimental to me because I like Jorge Masvidal, right? Okay, so let's just keep it. Let's talk about Poirier and Gaethje for the BMF title. You know what I'm saying? That's another repeat that we've seen.
Yep, I'm okay with good knockout leg kick. Nothing might be nicer than a good leg kick knockout.
Right, and that one I thought was really Gaethje going, look, man, I am a superior striker in this division. You got to look out for me. Jorge Masvidal out there doing his thing, looking like Scarface's nephew. I'm sure he was on several substances.
Oh, I'm thinking you said Jorge. That was Gaethje and Poirier.
No. I'm just saying Masvidal just presented the belt. I
got you. Okay.
All the stuff that I saw around the fight, Jorge was just like everywhere looking real.
Yeah. To give him the belt because the new BMF belt. I got you.
Right. But number 1 for me, and like I said, this one has no bearing on the title or anything. But this is kind of recency bias too. I gotta go Josh Emmett versus versus my guy Thug Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty.
Thug Nasty Mitchell.
This last 2 weeks ago.
And I got a couple reasons why. Okay. So we watched a lot of fights, and I know we watched 2 losses by Josh Emmett. Me and you talked about it. The Topuria fight, that was a war. He was getting clobbered. They were in the corner going, hey, if you don't show me something, we're calling it. We're not. And he went out there and battled. Then before that, the Rodriguez fight, for the belt, he got submitted. That's a lot to battle through. 2 losses in 1 year, 2 tough losses in 1 year. But somehow, some way, in this one, he comes out swinging for the fences, classic Josh Emmett style, and lands a haymaker just like the show, and puts him on his back. And then, and this is in no way, shape, or form to talk bad about head injuries, but to see Thug Nasty shaking on the mat, I was like, oh my God, that's it. Just please don't ever let him fight again. That was it. So I got to give it to Josh Emmett on that one because I feel like there's some perseverance. He took some really tough losses. We saw it earlier this year, and then at the same time, 3 fights in a year is kind of tough.
It is, especially today's where guys sit and wait and wait. So kudos for Josh for getting 3 fights.
So that's my number 1 knockout of the year. Go check it out. Me and Bacchus was like, oh,
yeah. I thought Bryce Mitchell's already living in 2024. So.
Yeah. You definitely put that out there for that one. But that's my KO of the year. I love it. Shout out to Josh.
I like those. I think honorable mention here to Islam and again knocking out Volkanovski. We never seen Volk do that. That was another leg kick knockout.
I didn't even think of that one. I forgot. My bad.
So I want to shout that one out. Also, my guy Tommy Aspinall knocking out Sergey was nice.
Right. The big man fighting.
Yep. Robbie Lawler knocking out Nico Price on his. His retirement fight. Yeah, so I think we're okay with that. But to me, the lasting image of 2023, you mentioned it as your number 2. And there was Izzy just lost to Alex Pereira just a few months prior to in November that fight. Then they fought again in February and shout out to Sean O'Malley. I want to give him a shout out too of knocking out Aljo there.
Aljo,
to me, the lasting image to me, was in fact this man Izzy standing over, shooting the bow and arrows at his guy after knocking him out. You could see the joy. That was getting over the mountaintop. That was getting over the hump. He had never beat Alex Pierre. 0-2 in kickboxing. 0-3. 0-1 in MMA. Had never beaten him. And he finally does it, and then finds his son, walks up to his son, and all pettiness is somebody who I love petty people because I'm petty. So I am all for the pettiness. Walks over to his son and then passes out. Yes. Izzy knocking out Alex Pierre, and we'll get to Alex here in a little bit. I got some more about Alex here. But give me Izzy knocking out Alex Pierre as my knockout of the year. I love the Josh Emmett one. I think that's just more recency bias, but the standing over him and is the iconic of shooting the arrows to me is very iconic in the lasting image of this year.
Listen, bro, you nailed it on the head with that one. I completely forgot about the Islam and Volk fight. That would have been somewhere in the middle of my thought process. I promise. If I wasn't thinking about it too quickly, but yes, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, the whole point of him having had lost to him on multiple occasions and somehow pulling it out because he was looking horrible that fight. But this just there and again lies the rub because. We'll get into what happened afterwards, maybe, because he like you said, he finally conquered the mountain. What else is there for Israel to do now that he's beating him? And does he feel satisfied or not? But in the long run, that was a great pick for fight of the year, bro. I mean, knockout of the year, bro. I agree with you heavily on that one.
What's I don't think I gave you this one, but I just want to get your category before we get into male and female fighter of the year. What was your upset of the year?
I got one. And I got two for this one. I really was stuck on two. But of course, if we reverse it, right, the upset for me was once again Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, and somewhat of the loss that he took. The way that Israel Adesanya took that loss for me was like, you know what I'm saying? Like it grind, like some things grind my gears when it comes to MMA. And I was going like, you can't lose that way. You got to come back. I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like I had done my research on Pierre, but I was like, I don't even know this guy. Like, who is this? He just beat you. So it burned my soul to see Israel Adesanya lose that way for multiple reasons. And I thought that was a huge upset. Of course, and of course, we just talked about how he came back and
that was last year when he lost to him. That was 2022.
I'm thinking, okay, so then now this is where I was going to get you. Now we think about Israel and Strickland.
That has to be that's got to be upset of the decade to me. Like
what?
Sean Strickland wasn't even the top 5. Like he was, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't. Everybody was just booked up or hurt, and he gets the title fight, and he wins. I mean, that's the upset of the year in Australia.
In Australia, in Auckland, out there in his home turf. Like I don't even get that, bro. And it was great. Yeah, I somehow feel like that is right. Like I said, there were two, and those were my two right there. The one that I did, and this was for me, once again, this was like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Like my top one this year was DDP and Robert Whitaker, dog.
Yeah,
like,
yes, agreed.
Rob Whitaker
agreed.
had not lost to anybody except for there was Israel Adesanya is all over the place in this episode. So we're gonna say his name like one more time. He's gonna pop up like Beetlejuice or something. But seriously, Robert Whitaker hadn't lost. He was coming back. He was on the rampage. He looked good. And I'm like, oh my God, who is Dricus Duplessis? Huh? Who is this guy? And then
it's me. It's DDP.
Right. And it was a wrap. Like literally, I had to respect him. I had to do my research. I had to see what was really, I'm that guy. I'm Googling. I'm looking at all of these whack websites that you think don't really, they don't really do spell check, but they got videos. I was watching all of that, and I was like, okay, he's the real deal, and I put some respect on his name for real after that one. So that was my big upset, the Robert Whitaker Dricus Duplessis fight.
Yes, the way he did Rob to knock him out that dirty was that's probably number 2. And it's weird now that we're going to get the 2 guys who probably held the upsets of the year going for the, facing each other next month. Craig's right. It wasn't even that Strickland won. It's not like Strickland knocked him out. I mean, he just dog walked Izzy down from bell to bell. Now in the first round, it was probably a 10-8. I can't remember, but if that's the way the judges scored it, but it could have been because he almost had him out in the first round. And then they probably almost run that back. But the fact that, I mean, he just beat Izzy from bell to bell, rounds 1 through 5, was absolutely insane. Just didn't seem like Izzy ever really recovered or just wanted to be anywhere else but in that octagon.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, man. We said it at the beginning. Hi, love the A's hat. I actually just bought this because it matches several green shirts. I know the A's are not good at. One thing I know is the A's are not good at baseball. That's why they're going to Vegas. But but the whole thing is real talk, man. Like we just talked about it. I felt like Izzy was on. Every career, every movie, every book, it has a rise in action and it has a peak. I feel like the Pierre fights were his peak, and there's a falling action, or descent, if you will. I'm not saying he's on the downside. I'm not saying he can't win. But I think he was so hyped to have those wins happen, respectfully.
They got him out of bed. They got him out. You know what I mean? Like sometimes some fighters need something to get him out of the bed. Dustin Poirier says all the time, I need something to get me out of the bed.
Yeah.
And those fights did. I don't know if he was unprepared for Sean Strickland or what it was, but it was definitely, I'm right there with you. It is upset of the year. I also don't want to disrespect Alexa Grasso, the upset over Valentina Shevchenko.
Right.
I can't remember. Was that first fight this year or last year? I can't remember. I'm going to have to look that one up. But beat her again the second time.
The first fight with Grasso was earlier was way early, like January?
I think so.
Because I did, once again, man.
Oh, you know what? It was the first fight. It was January or March. It was the same fight as John Jones.
Yeah. Oh, see, yeah. So it was really early this year, and of course, once again, our minds are so stuck to what happened in the last couple months, so because we were developing the show. But yeah, that was a who is this woman fight? Like who?
Yeah,
Alexa Grasso. Come on, dog. Whoever put, and I know Vegas went nuts on whoever put their money on that one, but much respect to her. Nobody. When I say nobody saw that coming. Not nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, that was UFC 285, and you know what I mean. So that's how long ago that was, that first fight. But that was at the beginning of the year. So kudos to I want to shout out. I wanted to give her a shout out, Alexa Grasso, for but upset what could be upset of the year as well. So Whit, let's go ahead and let's get into what was your story before we get. I want to save the male and female fighter of the years at the end. What was your storyline to you of 2023 for the MMA?
All right, so I'm gonna break this one down for you because this is somewhat of an end. I had to really think on this one, bro. This is not necessarily on one particular fighter. This is kind of like somewhat of a blanket statement. So for me, bro, let's be real. 2023 was the weirdest thing for the heavyweight division, right? I was like, what is going on? Because I came in to 2023 going, yes, Francis Ngannou, I like it. Let's see it. Is John Jones coming back? Then we hear about the random conversation that has happened, and of course, if you're not a fan of Shannon Sharp, you won't know that Francis Ngannou basically laid it all out on the table with Shannon Sharp and said, "Hey, man, I was trying to fight for my other fighters, my other brothers who are in MMA with Dana White. He was not with the insurance idea, especially when it comes to training. There's insurance on fighters and fights and especially on main events. There is no insurance for you training. That is what Francis Ngannou was fighting for, and Dana White said no. They came to a total disagreement, and Francis walked. Then this leaves the complete door open for John Jones to return. John Jones gets in there, demolishes Ciryl Gane. No disrespect to Ciryl Gane, but I didn't see that happening no other way except for John Jones coming back because John Jones has been training to be a heavyweight fighter for like 2.5 years. I used to have his Instagram, and I kept going, God dang, he looks huge. Like he looked bigger than his brother, who, if everybody knows, his brother is a defensive tackle for the freaking Arizona, or was a defensive tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. And he was standing next to his brother, and for once he was still with the skinny legs. For once he was bigger than his brother. And then, boom, like I said, Ciryl Gane loses. Now, what do we want as MMA fans of UFC? We want Stipe Jones. We want the GOATs in the ring. Two GOATs head to head. That's all we wanted. We finally got it. Madison Square Garden, blah, 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 all the hoopla. And then Stipe's injured. And then Jones is injured. And we got videos to proof of both. Like, they threw me. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen? And then your guy jumps in and claims the interim championship belt, Tom Aspinall, and he gets in there and says, hey, man, everybody else loses their belt when they can't fight for a year and a half. Why not John Jones? And I'm not in a disagreement with him, but the only reason why it's not going to happen as fast as maybe Tom Aspinall would think is because you have to give John Jones that much respect for what he's gone through in two different divisions technically now. And for me, that was my story. Like the wave that the heavyweight division went in, because it was a huge upswing to think that it was a possibility that we could have got Francis Ngannou, John Jones, and then the winner could have went against Stipe. Then it went to no Francis, to John Jones and Stipe, to no Stipe, no John Jones, and now we had Tom Aspinall. And Aspinall is not to be slept on, don't get me wrong, but we got to see what transpires in 2024 out of the heavyweight division. So my story of the year, heavyweights, baby. Where we at? And Francis damn near beats Fury in a boxing match.
You're right. I will say, to me, I like that. To me, it's just how many titles have changed hands. Mainly, but the weight class that intrigued me the most throughout this whole year is the middleweight division. Alex Pierre is now the light heavyweight champion. He entered this year as the middleweight champion. Into the year as middleweight champion, we just talked about the upsets that we saw. DDP beating Robert Whittaker. Who would have thought that? Then you had Izzy coming back to regain his title, beating Alex. You're like, okay, now we're in this reign of Izzy. We thought we were going to get Izzy versus DDP. Remember, they brought Izzy in to face DDP in the cage, and Izzy was trying to bait that man into saying the N-word. Instead, we get Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland, we just talked about it, pulls off the probably one of the biggest upsets in the last 5-6 years. And then, now you got Sean Strickland and DDP, and they're fighting in the stands just a few weeks ago, and they're fighting next month for the title. It's just like all this intricacy, that we had, and then, you have new guys coming up like Bo Nickel in that division and a couple other guys making their way. We saw a lot of titles change hands. You mentioned the heavyweights changed hands. Like, there was no heavyweight at the beginning of the year as Francis in January vacated the title. And we got John Jones, the light heavyweight title. It was that was vacant actually going into this year. Yeah. And then Jamal Hill. Now it's now it's Alex Pierre. The middleweights changed 3 times. The welterweight stayed the same. Leon had 2 fights, won both of them. Bantamweight changed. Featherweight still the same. Lightweights changed the same. But then you get to the females. We'll talk about the retirements here, but Amanda Nunes laying it down. Now we're gonna have a new women's bantamweight champion. New flyweight champion. So there's just quite a bit of new champions that have changed course for the UFC this past year, which is always good. It always brings up lives and things up. But guys like Alex Volkanovski was able to maintain the featherweight champion. Now there was an interim fight, and Yair won that, but still, nonetheless, a lot of title changes. But to me, the middleweight division as a whole is kind of the story of the year. And that's a lot to deal with Alex Pereira, Izzy, and Sean Strickland.
Man, listen, when we were younger, you remember like playing arcade games and you're in the middle of fighting and somebody puts in the corner and like, new challenger. Like that's what it reminds me of in the middleweight division. Like, who is this? I gotta fight this guy. Yeah, every other month there was somebody else that could have the possibility of being the champ. And just like you said, bro, out of the possibility of having all of these fights at the beginning of 2024, we're going to end up with DDP, Strickland, and I promise you,
if I would have told you that a year ago today, Whit, you probably would have asked me, Nick, quit doing. You probably would have said, "Who's your weed man?" And you probably need to get a new guy.
Send me some of that. Send me some of that. That's what it said. Send me some of that. Whatever's going on. But yeah, man, we couldn't have predicted this one. But this was a year for the changing of. I don't want to say the changing of the guard, but really like a changing of hands. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we're going to get into our fighters of the year. But there's another division where I think one or two fighters really stood out, and of course, we'll get into that next.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to go over the retirements, and then we're going to get into our fighters of the year. Yeah. So we had here's a list of the fighters who retired in 2023. All these guys or gals laid it down the octagon. Out of all these, I'm going to list the names here, and then you tell me which one maybe surprised you or which one you're going to miss the most. Fedor, we know. Amanda Nunes, Shogun Rua, Overeem, Glover Teixeira, Robbie Lawler, Jorge Masvidal, the Korean Zombie, Benson Henderson, and Rafael Asakado.
Okay, so I'm going to run through it really quickly. Nunes, greatest woman of all time, apparently, is what we're going to put that stamp on there. Definitely going into the Hall of Fame. Then we got to talk about some of the long-standing names.
Fedor's been at it forever. I mean, since the Pride days.
If you don't know about Fedor Emelianenko in like one competitions when he was young, get right, please.
Just go on YouTube and type in Fedor Pride, and you'll see some incredible.
Right, yeah, one in Pride. Oh my God, that was a beast. And then of course, you know what I'm saying. Jorge Masvidal, my guy. I talk about him a lot. I respect him. He comes from an era that I know I grew up in, and you did too. When you had to kind of go sneak on YouTube in the computer lab and type in, you gotta look back and go, ain't nobody watching me. Like, yeah, I remember that. So Jorge Masvidal, and came from that era, and he made it. That's why he said he could put it down. He came from being hungry, from fighting on videos for $500 to main event and co-mains, and I gave him that one. And then I think we talked about maybe on my first episode with us together how I felt about Robbie Lawler, and that was one of those fighters that kind of brought me into my passion about MMA. So it was cool to see him go out with the win. But one of the ones that touched me, right, and I think if you may relate to this a little bit, was when they played In Your Head.
Yeah, the Zombie. Yeah, I was gonna say that to me.
Korean Zombie.
There's two retirements that Amanda Nunes laying both belts down, her gloves down, and kind of taking that final bow. Right. And then just Zombie when the whole crowd's in your head, Zombie, and he's walking out the crowd, and I mean him and he's about to that was emotional, man. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. It just gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
I don't care what you think when you're seeing the screen right now, but I'm from that era where you had to watch those videos, and I knew those songs. I knew exactly what song everybody was singing, and I was like, "That's everybody singing it in there." So I thought that was really dope that he got that kind of respect. The Korean Zombie putting it down. Much respect to him and his career.
Yeah, it was a great, and the fact that him and Max, had a just he got knocked out by Max, but just went for the kill, was killed or be killed, and not many people are killing Max Holloway, and then just that everybody in the arena singing that song, man, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Wait, let's get into our female fighter of the year. Who's your female fighter of the year?
Right there, when I'm thinking about, what is really the future for this fighter, we got to talk about the Grasso and the unknowing of who she was going to fight and how she was going to take over a division in such glorifying fashion. To me, that has got to go to her, because her future in 2024 is going to be very bright. Of course, we got to see it. We've got to either see a rematch or a title defense against a new contender, and I'm gonna give her some more credit. But man, I mean, this is one of those ones where seriously, and of course, none of these fighters can come out of nowhere in order to win these belts. But she laid it down and put out one of the best, bar none, in any other promotion, period. And the sky's the limit for her, as I see it from here. So that's my fighter of the year, my female fighter of the year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's Alexis Grasso, 2-0 against Valentina. Now, I know there's the second fight that was like a 10-8 that shouldn't have been a 10-8. And maybe it's a draw or split decision. But to beat Valentina the first time and to go 2-0 and maintain her belt, I'm right there with you. It's Alexa Grasso for me. So we're in agreement with our female fighter of the year. But who's your male fighter of the year?
Now this one right here is one that's near and dear to me, because I was asleep on this one. Okay, I was asleep at the wheel. I was watching it. I saw it. I was like, okay. Then I finally caught wind of it. So for me, I was put on notice February 5th. That was a UFC fight night, and a head kick took out Carlson Harris. That was in 22. 23, he beats Jeff Neal by submission, and just a week or so ago, he submits Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I'm really gonna give this one to Shavkat Rakhmonov, bro. I really like how, through the three fights that I was really paying attention to, because like I said, that first one 285, that second one was at 285. I was ready to see John Jones. I wasn't even paying attention to too much of anything else, but that caught my eye and it made me like lock in. You know what I'm saying? So to see Wonderboy, and Wonderboy is not a slouch in that division at all, by no means. But I know from just being old and being in high school at one point in time, like the way he put on that submission, where he had to reach around for his other arm, that's a guy that practices that type of stuff, man. And that's kind of scary, to be in the heat of battle and someone be able to manipulate their mind and your body to figure out what's going to make you quit. Because I think we talked about it. I don't think he choked him out. I think he was just popping his jaw out the socket because it wasn't too much around his neck. So to me, Shavkat's huge future going into 2024. I know me and you were talking about it last week, as if to say, hey, look, if you put one more fight in front of him, he's got to go for the title. And of course, right now, with Leon probably more than likely going to end up fighting Bilal Muhammad. Throw him Kobe, throw him, put something down there for that dog to chew on, because it's not going to end well, from what I've seen in these last 3 or 4 fights. So my male fighter of the year for 2023, and I keep on making those jokes about seeing the Huns come over the mountain. Like, that is what my mind goes to when I think of that guy. So big shouts out to the royal place of Kazakhstan, and Shavkat Rakhmonov for showing up in the UFC this last year and a half. I was asleep, bro. Asleep at the wheel, but I am aware now. Trust me.
I wasn't. I've said he's going to be a future welterweight champion, but he is not my fighter of the year. Man, I have gone back and forth on both of these guys. Again, it's weird to say because to me, it involves both guys. I want to say Alex Pereira. I am going to say Alex Pereira. I want to give Sean Strickland an honorable mention. I almost went 3-0, in his this year, and that's tough to do. Obviously, we talked about it with the big upset, but earlier in the year, remember in January, he beat. Hold on, I can't remember. Imov in January in a 5-round decision fight. And then he knocked out Magomedov back in July 1st on a fight night. And then he obviously, beats Izzy in the upset. So 3-0 and to win a title. But to me, because those two guys aren't on this quite as the level of competition as Alex's other two guys that he did lose to Izzy, but he went 2-1 this year, got 3 fights in. So I always, to be fight of the year, I feel like you got to be quite activity. You need at least almost 2 to 3 fights. Right. And to me, it's I'm going to go Alex Pereira because he not only did it, he lost to Izzy, but then he came back and beat Jan Blachowicz in his first fight at light heavyweight. And then what he did to Yuri Prohaska just a month ago was ridiculous. To knock out Yuri makes me lean towards Alex Pereira as my 2023 male fighter of the year.
I'm with you on that, bro. To be real, like you said, we saw him take a very adverse loss to one of his best,
his arch rival.
Yeah. But we've seen him bounce back and went on weight, and he's threatening to put on more weight and fight again in another division and possibly clobber someone else. Like I don't know if it's possible. I'm not saying that it isn't. I saw Israel try to fight, go up one. And I didn't think it looked really good when he was going up against Stephen. It looked completely lopsided. But if Pereira being the massive person, I'm going to tell you what I saw. On Twitter, somebody made a joke and was like, hey, look at this couple on – I saw the video.
Oh, yeah, I saw. I'm going to go mess with them. Yeah,
he looks so big on that subway seat, bro.
He is, yeah.
He looks so big on that subway seat. So maybe, maybe naturally when he's just doing him, he is, easily without work, not having to cut that weight, and he could go up one more division. So it's a scary thought, man. I love that pick. Your pick for fighter of the year. Pereira deserves it. And shoot, heck, Rachmaninoff deserves it too. To be real, we'll see.
I think Islam's got a bigger, brighter future, and not that Pereira don't, but I think Shavkat could be fighter of the year in 2020. I think he could be holding the title this time next year. So I'll get ready to fight for it. We had a huge, speaking of fighting, we had some, maybe we talked about upsets of the year just a little bit ago. There may not have been a bigger upset than happened Saturday, or what? I guess it was it Saturday? I don't even remember.
Well, for us it was Saturday, but for them it's Friday night because
Sunday. It's over there. It's Sunday. They're a day ahead. Yeah. Right. So December 23rd, whatever day that was, I feel like we're just that was last Saturday. Deontay Wilder gets upset. He looked lost, and Anthony Joshua looked maybe the best Anthony Joshua we've ever seen. What was your thoughts, real quick, before we get out of here on the day of reckoning?
Oh man, let me just say it like this, bro. I am a huge proponent for both of these fighters, but let's just keep it real. I am a boxing purist, so when you lose, bro. And I'm hurt to say that Deontay Wilder got put on notice by Josh Parker. Let's say this, man. Is that weight in that division is so different because you can come in at 225 and fight somebody who's 260.
I never realized Deontay Wilder's legs were so like chicken legged.
He's always been a lower body, less dense fighter, and that offense and through questioning, because I have asked these questions, that takes away from a lot of that power that you developed when you're punching larger people. You remember those scenes where Rocky is punching the rib cage of the cow? You know what I'm saying? That's all torque. That's all torque from the lower body. So if you ain't got no lower body, it takes away from you. So Deontay Wilder unfortunately lost by decision in that one, and it was
wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
It hurt my heart to see him go down.
I'll say this: the Deontay Wilder that we saw Saturday will lose to the Francis Ngannou that fought Tyson Fury just a few months ago.
Not even. I wouldn't even do that right now. He's got to go back to the drawing board, and he's one of those guys where they say in boxing sometimes you lose that fire. Deontay Wilder has put up numbers for money. He's put up numbers. He's won championships. Maybe he's not mentally the same right now. You know what I'm saying? After being home for 2.5 years and, making like, I think 2 more kids and, being like somewhat of a speaker for, impoverished people in his hometown of Alabama. That's cool. Like, do that. Like, I'm not mad at that, but don't go in that ring and look like that, bro, because it didn't look good. And then let's get to the money fight of the night. Of course, Anthony Joshua, let's be real, man. We wanted to see this Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder fight 4 years ago. It didn't happen. The money never met in the middle.
Now it's not going to happen.
Now it's never going to happen. Okay, so Anthony Joshua dominated the fight over Wayland. And for me, that was really one of those points where you got to go, man. So what can't Anthony Joshua do? He can't lose because now we got to see Fury Usyk. And if Fury Usyk happens, which Fury did not look good against Francis Ngannou, if Fury Usyk happens and Fury comes out, ain't nothing else to do but Joshua Fury. That's it.
Yeah.
No other
even
question.
Usyk and Fury. Let him get even Usyk or Joshua. Let Joshua get either or.
Somebody got to fight Anthony Joshua. I don't care who it is. And there's no more ducking. There's no more running. And that's in the heavyweight division. There's no more duck. And the thing is, that the pre-fight, all of the prelims, all heavyweight fights, none of them lasted past I think the 3rd round. And it was great to see the heavyweight division out there in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and trust me now, these United Arab Emirates guys, salam alaikum, you know what I'm saying? Balkans and I will be happy to do free analysis for you. On the sidelines,
we ain't doing nothing free. We take a little bit of money.
Oh, they got
enough money they can give us.
Stay in the hotel. Let me fly on the plane. You know what I'm saying? But I'll sit there. I'm gonna get a thobe and all, and I'm gonna be ready to go. So, but I think that was really dope. And unfortunately, Deontay Wilder has to go back to the drawing board. Anthony Joshua skyrocketing a little higher. Hey, did you hear the news? So, in other boxing news, somebody did something really interesting. I think this is pretty dope. So what happened was Gervonta Tank Davis announced that he is now joining the Nation of Islam.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know it looks like Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia are getting ready to fight.
It's a possibility that's going to happen, but what everybody's saying is what we're going to do is we're going to stop calling him Gervonta Tank Davis, and we're going to call him Abdul Wahid, which is Arabic for servant of the one. So are we going to see the servant of the one serve up maybe the winner of Garcia and Devin Haney? I don't know. But I would love to see it at 140, 145, and we still got to wait for somebody. Somebody's got to step up and take Devin Haney off his high horse as of right now. But hey, look, right now, Gervonta Tank Davis is doing the hometown thing. He just bought a block. Somebody set the block on fire, unfortunately, back in his hometown of Maryland. And now we got to see if he's going to take that same. Muhammad Ali changed his name and never was the same. He was a completely different fighter. He went on a rampage. Unfortunately, they took him out. Took him out of title contention because of his beliefs and whatnot. But we got to see if now that change in his mental perception and direction does something positive for Abdul Wahid as he goes forward and pretty much dominates in the division. So hey, shout out to Islam. Salam alaikum.
So shout out to you, Whit, man. This has been another great episode of Headkicks and the Haymakers. You got anything to shout out before we get out of here?
Hey man, big shouts out to you, bro. We did it. We rocked out some episodes. We said we were gonna do it. We got to start it. I think we're on a roll now. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta kick the tire to see how far it goes down the hill. And we got pretty goddamn far down the hill, my brother. So I appreciate you for throwing it out there. And thanks to everybody that tunes in. You know, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you know what I'm saying? X, you know what I'm saying? It's all love, and I appreciate it. If you got any comments about anything that we said you don't think it was right, put it in the comment section, because we're going back to read it 2024, and we're going to bring it even better next year, I promise you.
That's right. This is the final episode of 2023 for us. So we will be back next week. We're going to preview a little bit of 2024, maybe some fights that we're interested in, make some future predictions of, who's going to be the champion at the end of the year, this and that. So, man, whole new fights. The 300 card is slowly getting made. We already got a ton of pay-per-views coming up here in the next month or so.
Bellator.
Yeah.
Pride. We're going to do all of that next year, I promise.
We'll be talking a little bit of everything. So be a friend, tell a friend, folks. I appreciate you, Whit, man. This has been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm going to hit that outro. Let's get out of here. We'll see you next week, folks.
Happy New Year!